This is your sign to buy a brand new German car. Guys, I'm selling my Toyota GR Yaris over here. I've had it for just about 2 years now, and I bought it because my BMW that I owned before was a lemon. I used to own an M235i with the 6-cylinder N55 engine, and that thing was straight trash. At 7 years old, it was giving me a repair bill every few months. I just couldn't put up with it, and I went and got myself a Toyota GR Yaris, which has served me well. But now, guys, it's time to get back probably into that German car life. A lot of people think that they should buy German cars in the used car market. In fact, I'm one of those people. Often I'm preaching that you should buy your German cars CPO'd or certified pre-owned. And indeed, there's a lot of benefits to buying a CPO car. First of all, you avoid that excessive depreciation that hits German cars. And best believe, guys, German cars like BMW, Audi, and Mercedes have some of the worst depreciation known to man. BMW M340 here in Australia is somewhere around 140,000 Australian dollars brand new. And just a few years old, guys, you'll be able to pick that up for $70,000. So that is half, right? Half of the car, even within its warranty period, which is why many people, including myself, say, pick up your German cars used, pick them up certified pre-owned. But that is not always the right thing to do. And a lot of people don't realize this one thing I'm about to tell you. Before I get into all of that, I want to set some ground rules. And there's a few facts you need to know about German cars. One thing I repeat over and over again in my videos is the random nature of German cars. And the random nature is something a lot of people have come across, and effectively, it is why people have such diverse experiences with Benz, Audis, and BMWs, right? You know those people. You know people, friends and family who say, look, I've owned my BMW, Audi, or Benz, and simultaneously I owned a Honda, and that Honda gave me more trouble than my German car. And then you know people who've owned BMW, Audi, Benz, and they're having repairs every few months. What is going on? And I often quantify that as the random nature of German cars. But the truth is, guys, it's not random. It is factually just a quality control issue, QC. I'm an engineer, and QC has to do with the fact that when you're producing products or making something, you have low quality control when there's defects in a bunch of random products. That's a quality issue, and I truly believe that is what the German manufacturers suffer with: Audi, Benz, and BMW. Honda and Toyota, in fact Mazda as well, are much better at their quality control. It is very much ingrained in their manufacturing culture. The number two thing you need to know is that German cars are sensitive. You've heard about a lot of the Toyota engines, drank a lot of oil. As long as people just kept topping up that oil here and there, and often people ran those cars really on low oil and they still survived, but as long as people do some sort of commonsensical approach, the cars survive. German cars are very sensitive, right? They need their repairs on time, they need their maintenance on time. There's a lot of maintenance items. They need you following your intervals, and if you don't, those cars will come back to bite you. Now, the number three thing is that a lot of German car owners, people who own these cars, new or used, whatever the case, they don't treat them well. The example is kind of like a thoroughbred. Think of Audi, Benz, BMW as your racing horses, your fine pedigree horses, and on their best day, they're gonna win the race. Of course, they're gonna win the race. And think of your Japanese cars like my Toyota GR Yaris here, but even Mazdas and Hondas, think of them as mules or donkeys. Let's not get offended, right? Let's just keep it real. They'll survive whatever punishment you throw at them. They don't need the finest food. They don't need the finest medics. They don't need the best atmosphere and environment. But a racing horse needs all of that to be in tip-top shape, right? So that is the example. Your BMW, Audi, Benzes, they are like those racing horses, and people don't treat them as such. A lot of people think, hey, I've paid top dollar for this car. I should be able to treat it like whatever I want, and it should be able to survive. But that is not how the luxury market works. That is not how life works, guys. Even if you buy a nice piece of clothing, right? A nice shirt that's $100 or $200, $300, $400, you'll find that you can't now put that in the washer or the dryer the way you could with your Target clothes. Even though you've paid 10 times more sometimes for that luxury product, you can't treat it that way. So that's how it is. So this is the three things I need you to understand about German cars. Now let's get into it. Why am I telling you to buy your German cars brand new? Well, the very first thing, if you buy a brand new German car, you'll be able to identify its intricacies from the very start, and you'll have a long warranty period, often 5 years, but often that warranty period can be extended as well if you meet certain requirements. So you might have a 5 to 7 year runway to figure out if your car is a lemon, and you could probably have them buy it back or sell it back to them under lemon laws, whatever laws your country has. Or you could spend that time repairing or fixing that car under warranty, truly understanding if that German car is going to be one you can own outside of warranty, right? So that's the number one benefit of buying a brand new German car. You get that long runway. The number two benefit of buying a brand new German car is if you plan to own that car for the long haul. If you plan to own a car for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, then you are very sensitive to depreciation. But if you plan to own a car 8, 9, 10 years plus, then depreciation doesn't matter that much. And I spoke about the BMW depreciation, right, where it halves. That's really terrible when you want to sell your car in a few years because all of a sudden you lost $70,000. But if you lose $70,000, $80,000 over 12 years, 13 years, that's, while not great for a German car, that's still pretty okay. That is something a lot of people can bear if they want to own a German car. So if you have that long-term approach, that view becomes a bit different. Now, the third thing, when you buy a used car, you don't quite know how well it's been treated and taken care of. In fact, the best you can do is getting a car with a full service history. And what is a full service history? Well, often for BMW, Audi, Benz, that is getting your car serviced every 15,000 kilometers. And what's going to happen is you're going to get that car. It hasn't been treated that well from a servicing maintenance perspective, and it's going to come back to haunt you because you'll have to pick up the bill for all the services that it's missing: diff fluid, transfer case fluid, the gearbox, the ZF8 fluid. In fact, BMW even, they don't often even service the ZF8 transmission, even though ZF want you to service that transmission. So you have to pick up the bill. But if you get a brand new German car, you don't have to put up with those issues. You could service it the way you want to from the very start. You could start giving it 6, 7, 8 month service intervals. My Toyota GR Yaris, this car over here, I believe the service intervals are 6 months, right? 6 monthly if you want to keep your warranty. That's absolute wild ride, but I do feel as if that is the right thing to do with cars. And finally, buying a brand new German car, you avoid the issue of someone mistreating the car. A lot of people don't understand why used cars are priced so much lower. And that is because there's a lot of things owners do that mess up these cars, right? A lot of people, if you've got a manual car, my GR Yaris is a manual, a lot of people will misshift these cars, right? Misshift is when you were meant to go into third gear and you all of a sudden went into first and your RPMs go to the moon, right? A lot of people do that sort of thing, and maybe your car survived it, but what sort of damage has been done? Now, you're going to come out, pick up a used car, you're going to walk in, it drives nice, but who knows, there was a misshift, and in 10, 15, 20,000 kilometers, that car goes boom because there was a level of damage done to the valves. A lot of people will do weird stuff like drive on low oil. A lot of German car owners, they drive on low oil. I don't know why they do it, right? Well, part of it is because BMW, Audi, Mercedes, often their models are oil consumers. BMW and Volkswagen Group have been the primary aggressor in this way. They do consume a lot of oil. A lot of people don't know how to handle it, so they'll just drive their car on low oil. Low coolant as well, right? A lot of people do that sort of thing. In fact, I was test driving a Volkswagen Golf R, a brand new one. It was a demo model. It only had around 1,000 kilometers on it, and I drove that car hard. And I was thinking to myself, geez, some bloke's gonna come and buy this car, and the break-in period for this car has been terrible. It's been a terrible break-in period, right? You're not meant to drive a car that way. I mean, I was driving it legally and not nonsensically or anything, but these cars, you're meant to sort of baby them during that first 1,000, 2,000 kilometers. And that car might develop some sort of habits, right? My BMW was an oil drinker. I wonder if it went through that, where some bloke took it out and drove it really hard during the demo period. So you avoid all of that. You avoid the mistreatment of these cars when you buy it brand new because you own it from new. You know exactly the history that's on that car. I'm not saying everyone needs to do that, right? Not everyone needs to buy a brand new German car. In fact, I think for most people, it's a bad move in terms of the financial loss. But if you're someone who's going to own your German car for the long haul, if you want to, form a good bond with it and maybe come away with a really good car for the long term, I think owning a new German car makes a lot of sense. I hope that helps. I'll catch you next time.